All right, so stocks are roaring. Over 500-point rally today. The market is hot. And by the way, a lot of deflation, good deflation. Oil prices coming down, ag prices coming down. As we talked to Tommy Tuberville, let's talk about it with Steve Moore, host of More Money, WABC Radio. David Malpass, former World Bank president. You know, Steve Moore, everyone wants to be pessimistic and bearish and this and that and this and that. The fact of the matter is stocks are roaring. That is great for the outlook for the economy and business. And guess what? Gas buddy below $3 a gallon nationwide. That's the first time in years we've seen that. Crude oil down to 57 bucks. Brent crude, by the way, European crude is around 60. That's good for us, bad for Russia. I can't imagine anything better than that. I know the gold price is rising. I think it's crazy. Central banks are buying. But there's a lot of good things going on in our economy. You know what I mean? We don't need a king. We just have an energetic president who's cut taxes, deregulate, energy domination, and good trade policies. I mean, gee whiz, why? I don't know why people aren't more optimistic.
Well, exactly. When you were talking to Senator Tommy Tuberville, and you were talking about those declining agriculture commodity prices, I looked at the index of all commodities, and over the last 6 months, they're flat. There's no rise in inflation whatsoever in commodities, which is, as you know, Paul Volcker used commodity prices as his lead indicator of inflation. So I don't see it out there right now. Now, coffee is going up in price. Maybe the tariffs had a little something to do with that. But overall, prices are pretty stable right now, although grocery prices are up a little bit and people are angry about that. So look, yeah, you're right. One of the problems that the Fed has made is they keep looking at the tariffs. They don't look at the deflationary effect of tax cuts, of deregulation, of pro-American energy policy. I mean, the low gas prices didn't happen by accident, Larry. It happened because Donald Trump has a drill baby drill policy that is flushing the market with oil and gas. So it's a pretty good picture out there generally.
Yes, it is. I mean, a little deflation is a good thing, I think. I love what's going on in the energy sector. I think it's all good. David Malpass, I'd like to see, first of all, coffee prices. I don't really know why we're tariffing coffee prices. I think it's a waste of energy. Who cares who makes coffee? I mean, the tariff thing can go too far. Even for my blood, and I've been a supporter of reciprocity. So let's put that aside. Egg prices have come down. That's real good. Now, David, everybody keeps telling me gold prices are going up because life is so bad in the United States and we spend too much and we're inflating. I think it's all central banks led by China are buying gold. Now, the thing went up today, another over $100 increase in the price of gold. I think it's crazy, all right? Now, I say sell gold. Now, doesn't matter what I say. I'm just going to say that so I can be on record as saying that. I have no idea whether you should buy or sell gold, David. But in all honesty, I do think we have to have assurances, and I think Scott Bessent knows this. We need a good dollar. We need a stable, reliable dollar, okay? That's the best we can do. If the world wants to buy gold, they're going to buy gold. But we need a good, stable, reliable dollar. You're kind of an expert on that. What do you think?
I think a stable dollar would be really good for the U.S. It would be good for world growth. One thing you'd get is lower interest rates across the board, and I think it would also be good for crypto, for the U.S. dominance in that area. I think what the markets are doing is, one, voting that China is going to keep buying gold, so they want to buy gold alongside China. But the bigger thing, I think, is it's a vote on the Federal Reserve. It's still using backward-looking inflation targeting models. So the market looks at that and says it won't work. It won't raise median income. So they go buy gold as a hedge against growth and against the United States.
I know you always say that about the models. You're right, the models are bad, but I don't think the models have a thing to do with gold. The gold story, in some sense, is deceptively simple. China and its BRIC allies are trying to diminish the reserve currency status of the dollar. And they're selling they're selling dollar bonds, and they're buying gold. And they're trying to get, damage the U.S. And here's Trump, by the way. He's aware of this. We have some sound from Mr. Trump last week. Take a listen, fellas.
I like the dollar. I'm very strong on the dollar. And anybody who wants to deal in dollars, they have an advantage over people that aren't. But for the most part, we're keeping it that way, like BRICS. I told anybody wants to be in BRICS, that's fine, but we're going to put tariffs on your nation. Everybody dropped out. They're all dropping out of BRICS. BRICS was an attack on the dollar.
Yeah, so, Steve Moore, I like it when he talks stuff like that. By the way, the Treasury is in charge of the currency, not the Fed. I wouldn't mind seeing Scott Bessent come out there and whack the dollar up about 5%. All right, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Maybe that would quiet these gold bugs down, because the rest of our economic story is very, very good.
Well, that's right. And by the way, the BRICS currency makes absolutely no sense to me as an economist. I mean, is somebody going to say, "Oh, I don't trust the dollar, so I'm going to trust the ruble and the Brazilian currency and the yuan"? I mean, obviously, the United States dollar is the world reserve currency, and it will remain so. The thing about the rise in gold price that puzzles me, Larry, is that if Steve Forbes were on the show, he would say, we want to keep the dollar as good as gold, right? And that happened under Reagan, et cetera. So if the dollar is good as gold, then why would you buy gold, right?
Yeah.
And so there is some nervousness about that right now. But I like the inflation numbers that are coming in right now. I think they show vast improvement. And I had been a skeptic about lowering rates. But now maybe, given these latest numbers, another rate cut might be in order.
Well, I tell you may not get a fabulous CPI later this week. It's going to be a phony number. It's government's release. No one knows what that number is going to be. But I think you're right. A commodity price rule, David Malpass, I'll let you finish, which is a very important standard of value, looks very flat. It just looks very flat to me. And if you take out the crazy shelter, rents are coming down. I think this is a case where lower interest rates by the Fed could actually help the dollar go up and gold go down. What's your last thought?
Very powerful, that is, Larry, and I think that's what President Trump was saying, and that would be a good outcome. Look, the dollar is key, and the Fed's mandate is price stability. So if they said price stability meant you needed dollar stability, how are you going to get price stability if you have a weak dollar? And so if they said that, that would help. And of course, if Secretary Bessent said that, that would help. And it's easy, I think, to defend the dollar. This is the greatest currency, the greatest economy, and that would come pretty easily.
We're roaring. The economy is roaring. You know what I mean? We're roaring, left-wing media notwithstanding. We're roaring. Anyway, take a look at that stock market. Based on profits and deregulation and tax cuts, pretty cool. Steve Moore, thank you. David Malpass, thanks.